Hello everyone, this is Yvonne from Yvonne Ceramics. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to hand build this cute mushroom house for your garden. So the house will have a mushroom cap as a roof and lots of detailed decorations. So don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more videos each week. The mushroom house has two parts, the body and the roof. I am starting off with the body, so I've got a slab of clay and I'm just going to roll it out first. After rolling out my slab, I'm using my yellow rib to smooth out the pattern on the clay and also to compress the clay a little bit. So I've got my slab of clay here, and right now I am using this 3D print template that I got from Della Design, and I'm gonna use this on the slab of clay to make the trunk of the mushroom. So before I do that, I need to put saran wrap on the clay. And the reason why I'm putting saran wrap on the clay is so that when I use this to cut onto the clay, it won't stick onto the template. So I've got some saran wrap here, and as you can see, it doesn't quite fit, and the reason why is because I'm doing it on purpose. I don't want to make such a long and big mushroom, so I'm going to actually cut right here, and then I will manually cut half of it. So press it down like that. Okay, so now let's take out the saran wrap. As you can see, the clay didn't stick onto the design and the edges are smooth. So that's why I like to use saran wrap. And since it didn't quite cut through, I'm using my knife to do a simple cut here. And like I said earlier, I don't want such a large mushroom house. So I am just going to do another cut around here. So let me just draw the outline first. Okay, that's about it. So I'm just going to cut it out. Alright, so that's the trunk of my mushroom house. I'm going to save this clay for later for decoration. And for the trunk of the house, I want to go for a fairy core kind of theme. So I want to put some texture on here. So I got two rollers here. This one and this one. Looking at the different patterns. So using the scrap clay from earlier, I'll show you the different pattern. So this one is more straight, and then this one has this crisscross pattern. So I think I like this pattern more. So when I'm rolling pattern, I want to make sure I am doing it slowly with even pressure. But you don't want to push too hard and warp the shape of the template. And right here, I'm gonna move my roller a little bit to adjust to the design of the template. Alright, perfect. So that's my mushroom trunk. And then next we are going to stand it up and roll it. So we will need to, I'm going to just push the edge on here to create a beveled edge. And then I'm using my serrated rib to score this edge. Then let me flip this to the other side. And then same thing here, I'm going to just press this edge down to create a beveled edge. And then scoring it. Right, next I'm going to use my little paintbrush with water, and I'm just going to dab it along this edge, and then I'm going to stand this up now and join the edge here like that. Alright, so I'm going to just gently press the seam together with one hand on the inside and one hand on the outside supporting. And then I'm using my little wooden tool here, dabbing it into my bucket of water so that it's a little bit wet. And with one hand on the inside supporting the seam, I'm just smoothing this edge like that. It's important to wet this tool because, as you can see, the water can help smooth out this edge. Okay, and for this little bit on the top, I can just cut that off like that. And I'm going to dip this tool again into the water and do the same thing on the inside seam. Alright, so I am now going to move this aside and let this dry up, firm up a little bit before we add more decoration. Alright, so remember the scrap clay from earlier, so I wedged it. Next, I'm going to roll this out into a slab. So I have rolled out my slab now and smoothed it out. Next, I have this one, which is the GR pottery form. This is the 8-inch circle. I'm going to use this as my template. I'm going to put it down onto the clay and draw out a circle. That's going to be the roof of the mushroom house. But before that, I need to make sure that this fits. Okay. Yep, that fits perfectly. Then I'm using my knife to draw my circle. So if you don't have the GR pottery form circles, you can just print out any circles from the internet and then use that as your template. Okay, that's it. That's my circle. So after cutting my circle, I am going to drape it on top of this bowl that I made because I want to have a dome shape for the roof. So I'm going to put my saran wrap on the bowl and then putting my circle onto the bowl. One way to see how when this clay is centered or not is I put my hands underneath, and when my nails touches the bowl, you can just kind of feel if it is centered. So I need a little bit more this side, and then same for this and here. Make sure the clay is centered on the bowl. Okay, that's good. Then I'm going to just gently press it down. Like that. If you're having some trouble, you can use a little bit of a wet sponge and you can just smooth it down like that. The edge. So after smoothing it down as much as you can, You might have these stretch marks. You just can use your finger to smooth those out. And also you might have these overlapping area. You can just press it down and smooth that out as well. Okay, after fixing all the wrinkles and overlapping area, I want to create a ripple on the edge. So over here, just using one finger underneath and then two fingers on top to create these ripples. Okay, afterwards, if your edge is not straight like here, you can just use a knife to trim it. And if there's any area that's broken, you can fix it now. And then I'm going to leave this on the side and let it dry for a little bit. So while I'm waiting for the two parts to dry up, I'm going to start making the decorations. First would be the door. I'm using my ruler to help me cut out the straight edge. And I want it to be about 5 centimeters tall. Then I'm just gonna freehand draw out the, the door. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's cut that out. Okay, and then I want to draw some lines here as if it's a wooden door, using my tool here with this straight edge to draw out my design. Alright, that looks pretty good. What do you think? Now let's add the handles here. So I'm going to roll a ball like that, and then I'm going to score the back. Dab a little bit of water and stick it on, just like that. And then I want to add more details on the door. I'm just going to cut out lines like that. So I want this to be like here, like that, and then this to be right here, like that. Okay, so same thing, I'm going to score the back, and then putting some water on here. Okay, so that's my door. So our trunk has firmed up quite a bit, so now we are going to add our little door here, like that. So we are going to slip the back here and score it first with my serrated rib, and then using my paintbrush with water, just putting it on the back of this door. And I'm just going to put it right here. So I'm using one hand on the inside to support, while the other one just pushing it gently from the outside. Just like that. And you can use a small paintbrush to smooth out the edge here. So it'll look like that with the smoothed edge. Next, I want to add a ring of stone around the door. So I rolled out ball of clay here, of different shape and size, because stones are different shapes and sizes. So I scored the back and then put a little bit of water and then just start putting it around the door like that. And then the second one. So you can just roll many balls of clay and then score them all on the back, and then put a little bit of water or slip, and then put that around the door. I love the different shapes of the stone. It makes it very handmade and organic. Alright, so I have finished cutting out the window here, and then I use a small paintbrush to smooth out the edge. And I also went ahead to cut out the other window here. So same thing, cut it out and then smooth out the edge with a small paintbrush. Then on the back of this trunk, that's where our seam is. And I don't want to do any cutting because that's the weakest joint here for the whole trunk. So I wanted to cover it with some decoration. I have a butterfly rolling pin here. And so what I'm going to do is I have a small slab of clay, and I'm just going to pick a butterfly and then roll my butterfly on the clay and then cut it out. Okay, so I got my butterfly here like that, and I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. So after cutting out my butterfly, I'm going to just score the back here, add a little bit of water, and then put that on the back here, like that. Alright, so we kind of finished the trunk now. I've also added other decorations such as a little acorn and flower and another acorn here. So these are my slip cast molds. So if you don't have slip cast, you can just hand build these extra decorations. Next would be to add the roof. So the roof kind of dried up, and let's see how it fits. So the fit, it seems too big. The roof is too big. So let's trim it a little bit. So I'm going to just start with a little bit of clay trimming. Alright, so after trimming the roof, let's fit again to see how it fits. So I think it's much better. At least I can see more details that I've made for the stone door and the side as well. So whichever side I feel like it's too drippy, I can trim more clay on. But overall, I think it's pretty good. So then I flip the roof back upside down. At this point, it's a good idea to fix any of the wrinkles, any of the cracks that I have. So this would be a good time to do that before I slip and score the roof onto the trunk. Alright, next is I'm going to just score the inside of the roof. And also the edge here, the top edge of the trunk. And then I'm using my small paintbrush to wet this edge. And then I will put the mushroom hat on here. Okay, making sure that it's level. Still adjust it a little bit. Alright, so now I'm just placing another bed on top of the mushroom roof, and I'm going to flip this upside down so that I could put a coil here between the trunk and the roof, put a coil here in this gap to help reinforce the joint. So this is, I got some leftover clay here from cutting the roof. I'm just going to cut a small coil and help reinforce the joint. So if it's too hard for your fingers to reach that narrow edge, you can use a small tool here to push that coil in. And then after pushing it in, you want to wet your tool, just like how we did for the seam. You're gonna wet the tool and now smooth that coil. Okay. So here's the coil, and I'm just wetting my tool to smooth that out. Okay, now I want to show you the seam. So that's the coil. I've already smoothed out with my wooden tool, and because it's not quite smooth, I'm going to use my small paintbrush to smooth that out right here. You don't want to use too much water, just a little bit of water to smooth out that joint. So the roof has dried up nicely. So this is the final result. We have the mushroom cap roof with lots of textures and details on the trunk of the house. And the little window that after firing I could put a candle inside as well. So that's how it is. For decoration, you can use underglaze, or after this firing you can use glaze, whatever you choose. So that's today's project. Thank you everyone for watching. See you guys next time. Bye bye.